pizzafactory.com or with the Pizza Factory app. Pick up your available inside, curbside, or have it delivered.
Did you guys get new equipment?
No. It's just shiny. We dusted it.
I know how that works.
Community Spotlight program.
No. We are doing some things though, but
District Financial
yeah,
proud
not
sponsor
new.
of KRIM's Community
New
Spotlight.
equipment, but moving some
At
stuff
District Financial, we
around.
believe in sharing success with
All
our
right.
members
And you that go live, there we are. We
That's
are
right.
live.
Our members get more just for
And Daniel
like
Cleveland,
chances to
there
win
we go.
sweepstakes,
Sorry.
plus the convenience of online banking and our mobile app. Our members also help us give back through grants,
I'm gonna
scholarships,
ask
and
Ashley
acts of
how her
kindness,
performance
and
was real quick.
thousands of
Ashley,
Arizonans have
sorry,
agreed
you know
to
what
work
I
District
You get
Financial.
assigned a new KRIM name.
And good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio for our Community Spotlight program. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. I had to think about what day it was.
I actually had to ask somebody what day it was today.
I had to think about that, but it is Wednesday, and in the studio, Ashland, our intern, that's sponsored by MHA Foundation, who is our guest this morning on the program. But Ashland, I need to ask you, before we get started, how was the performance? They came from somewhere.
I think very well.
I heard rave reviews, people
Really?
commenting on Facebook. Yes, that
Awesome.
said everyone did a great job. So
That's fantastic.
yes, they said it was quite humorous as well.
Oh, well, we try. You know,
You try. There you go.
there are many broken mannequins in our shop, but you know, anything to keep the show. You know.
Yeah. Hey, any production that results in broken mannequins. Oh my gosh, what is a mannequin? Mannequins. You know it's a good time.
Yeah.
Is a mannequin like a male mannequin?
It's a male mannequin. It's a cross. Well, it's in golf, a mulligan and a mannequin. When a mannequin gets a mulligan, it's a mannequin. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh my word.
Yeah, going
This
down.
is quite the show this morning
Boy,
already.
yeah,
Let's just start now.
It's Wednesday. I know, pretty deep. Well, and again, as I said earlier, the guests today, the second Wednesday of every month, we have MHA Foundation in to let us know about what they're doing in the community. They have so much going on, and one of the main projects right now is the Granite Dells Park Complex, and in here to talk about that is Jennifer Smith with MHA Foundation, and also Daniel Cleveland, the contractor engineer that is in charge of this project. Good morning to both of you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Chris, can we give just a moment to Dan so that he can talk about his career and what he's done, so everybody can kind of know what kind of incredible talent we have working on this project?
Definitely. I know
Awesome.
before the program he shared a little bit, but it would be great if you share with all of our listeners and everyone watching on the KRIM FM Facebook page and also our YouTube channel this morning. So yes, Dan, tell us a little bit.
Well, thank you. Very humbly, the engineering and environmental consultants, I was attracted to them because of projects much like Granite Dells Park.
Mm-hmm.
I've designed probably $500 million worth of parks over 35 years, and a lot of high-profile sports facilities. I worked on the rollout field for the Cardinal Stadium. Just finished a $15 million soccer complex for Arizona State University, women's soccer, which a lot of people don't know is very popular at ASU, and have worked on the Phoenix Rising soccer complex. But what's really unique about this project that attracted me is that Jennifer and Kenny Evans are approaching it on all the same 4 levels that we do.
Mm-hmm.
This project, besides being a great park project, is kind of like a 4-level chess game.
Mm-hmm.
The first is that Jennifer and the foundation did an extensive survey, and what we want is all the input that was collected from Payson on what they would like to see in the park.
Mm-hmm.
We then take that back and we look at the site and say, okay, what are the engineering constraints that we have to fit all these elements in?
Mm-hmm.
And then aesthetically, how do we blend things like the lake into an existing valley to fit with the ponderosa pines that are there? But finally, the 4th level is working with Jennifer. We've looked at all the environmental concerns and all the elements the trees that had to be cut down were chipped up and are using for mulch. We're building the lake, so all of the water is collected from the site. It's held on the site to prevent flooding, and then we use it to irrigate the turf that we're putting in, and it goes on and on. So on those 4 levels, you end up coming out with a very detailed park project, but it starts because it's geared to what the people wanted.
Absolutely.
You may want to talk about that survey. It was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if we can go back even farther than that, not Chris, you know this because of your involvement in the town, what a general plan means to a community in Arizona. It is the state statutorily required strategic planning document for our town leadership. And it is voted on by the voters every 10 years. It's recreated and voted on by the voters. And that document is the way that the constituents of the town can tell our leadership that this is what we want. These are our critical needs. And not only for the last general plan, but for the general plan prior to that. So 20 years of citizen input has said we need desperately, it is a critical need to have a park on the east side of town.
Yep.
And not only that, but this current general plan, so for the last 10 years, there is actually a map of parks and proposed parks in that general plan. Our park, there is a big star right on the exact triangle of location where our park currently sits. So going all the way back, we're talking about programming and what the people need, what the people want, what our community needs. The actual idea of having a park in this location has been programmed for a very long time, well before any of us were ever involved.
Yes.
So to start there with location and a park in that location, and then to go on to actual programming. So we started out with a basic master plan, and we put something together to bring to the council that the town council could take to the Parks and Recreation Board, so that we could get true community feedback from the municipality structure, even though this is technically outside of the municipality structure at this point. And from there, we developed an exhaustive survey. We actually hired what's called a programming architect. So this is a person who their whole goal in life is to find out what people want in a facility, whether it's a building, it could be an apartment complex, it could be a library, it could be any large scale facility. They develop questionnaires, they develop ways to engage the public or stakeholders who would be involved in the project as to how do they want to use this facility. And by finding out how people want to use a facility, you get a really good feel for what amenities you need to put into the facility. So this process is just step by step by step by step by step. So that survey went out, and it was released to be, I think it was 12 different media outlets. We pushed really, really hard to get as much engagement as possible, and we received 1,186 responses to the survey in 2 weeks. So that is a statistically very significant number in a community of 16,000.
It really is, yes.
So we were really, really excited to not only have that feedback, but then just to see what people wanted. It was really, really interesting. There was actually a 95% approval rating for the project as a whole, because that was the very first question out the gate. Do you want this? And 95% of folks who responded said absolutely yes. And then beyond that, there was questions about, like I said, the programming. What do people want to do there? And one of the things that really struck me, I thought they would be so excited about another place to fish, another place to play football, another place to, different shiny objects. One of the things that struck me was folks almost unanimously wanted more ramadas. And, when you think about it, the ramadas at Rumsey Park are constantly in use, whether it's formally, that they're rented or whatever, or informally people just showing up and using them.
Yes.
It is constant. And in a post-COVID era, that type of outdoor gathering space is just absolutely critical. It makes total sense that was a number one item. So as we have progressed through this planning process, we've actually added ramadas, we've expanded the scope of the ramadas that we're putting in, and that type of thing. And so to sum it all up of how we got to where we are now, it has been through exhaustive community feedback, exhaustive planning. Many, many times Dan has said to me, I can't fit in another toothpick, make it stop.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh yes you can.
Mhm.
And he does, because he's amazing.
And this is, you were talking before the program about a 12-step plan
Yes.
that is being implemented with
And then
the
he met
park.
Jennifer Smith, and now it's 1200 step
Yeah.
plan.
The approach to this is kind of unique too. The other thing I wanted to mention, I do have background in park planning like this, but specifically for Payson. Over the 25 years I've worked on Rumsey Park, Green Valley Park, and my last project was a master plan for the Rodeo grounds. So I'm very familiar. We have an office up here with Rodeo Engineering with Ralph Bossert. So we're very hands-on. And what we decided from the get-go was to develop it in actually 12 different projects. So we started with the earthwork, and we moved over 50,000 yards, and all of the dirt was kept on site.
Oh,
We
it was
didn't-
so fun. Oh
Yeah,
my
we didn't
gosh.
import or export. And then the second set of plans was the lake that is still under construction. The third set was the electrical plans that will power the pump house that is on its way for the lake. We're just finishing up the sports plan for the football, soccer field and the softball field. And it goes on from there, sewer and water plans, parking lot plans. Our goal was not to have people wondering what was going on. And with Jennifer's advertising actually on the fencing out there, we actually have a different phase of construction that's going to be going on into next year when it's finished.
Wow, there you go. So just a lot of moving pieces.
So many moving
And,
parts.
and you laughed. Jennifer's laughing.
Well, what's interesting about that is in order to generate some fill, we did some additional grading east of the football field. And Jennifer came up, I give her a lot of the ideas she comes up with, that we now have a level plateau that looks down onto the soccer field. So we've added another ramada up there. It's going to have drinking fountains and lighting up there. But to get that in, that impacts the football plans. And so everything is kind of interlaced. And it does get very tight because when we add something, you have to actually keep all the drainage working around all the elements. But so far it's worked out very well. And what's exciting is people are going to go drive by on Mud Springs Road, and every month or two there's going to be something new going on.
Absolutely. It's been, for folks who have been driving by in the last few months, it has been seemingly quiet on the park complex, but what's actually happening is we're working on right now all of the underground infrastructure. So just literal miles of conduit for electricity, for water, for irrigation, for IT, for
Just everything.
you name it,
all
everything.
the trenching.
Exactly.
Yeah, bearing. Now, Ashland, we're looking at this map of the Granite Dells Park Complex before the program, and I asked you when you were looking what maybe interest you the most, and what did you say?
Well, just like how you were talking about earlier, I'm also pretty excited for the Ramadas.
Oh, great. That's
Ramadas.
awesome.
And then you mentioned this guy right here.
The amphitheater.
Yes, the amphitheater, because we were talking, and Ashland being in drama, the first thing that came to her mind, she said, oh, like Green Valley Park and with the concerts.
No.
And I said, well, yes,
On
also
track.
Wonderful.
performances, like possibly the drama club with the school.
So let me
doing
paint a
performances.
picture of the
Mhm.
amphitheater for you. This is so exciting.
Mhm.
We started out, and one of the things that we recognized going into this is that this project serves our current community, but it's a legacy project. So it will serve our community for generations, if not centuries to come. We are building it with the intention of it being a true legacy project for Real Country. And so with that in mind, we wanted to incorporate what our young generation, because that's the closest we can get to knowing what future centuries are going to want, is our current young generation. What do you want when you go to a place? And so we actually talked with young people, and what shook out of it was they want a place to go and that has seating, and they want a place that has internet. They want Wi-Fi. They want water. They want to be able to fill their hydro, right? That's like huge to have good water. Good water.
Yes.
And the fourth thing was they want an outlet where they can plug their device in. Because in our generation and in our younger generations, having their device battery be low is actually a significant anxiety event.
Let me check my battery.
No, you're not that generation, Chris.
Wait, no. I know. That's true.
You're Papa Scoops. You can't.
I don't check my battery that often, I guess.
So with those, would you say, Ashlyn, that's an accurate assessment of when you go someplace, those things are what make you comfortable?
Yeah, I also think that it would be, a good idea, because, like, whenever I'm in class and, my teachers are talking and they're like, today's a really nice day outside, let's, like, go work outside. So I think that would be really nice.
Awesome.
Be able to plug in your Chromebook and, like, do your homework outside while you're playing at the park.
So with all of this feedback in mind, this is how we sort of started designing the amenities for that specific piece of the park. And so the amphitheater is going to be covered with shade sails. So we've got check on the seating. Obviously it's going to have the stadium type seating, concrete amphitheater type seating. And then that we've got in the area, there's several areas around the amphitheater that will have the filtered and chilled water bottle filling stations. I know, right? I'm so excited about that. And then, of course, the whole park is going to be Wi-Fi enabled. So that's also critical. In addition to the Wi-Fi, we're also going to have a security system as well, so it will be a safe place to be. And then what really is exciting to me is that on the back of, if you can envision each seat, on the back of each seat, every 8 feet, there will be an outlet. So you can just you can be in the park and you can sit there and you can plug in your Chromebook or your phone or your iPad or whatever and charge it and actually be functional there. In addition to this, we have a 20 by 40 foot stage that is going to be in front of the amphitheater, cantilevered out over the lake. So as you sit there, it's just going to be this breathtaking area. I actually envision folks going there, because so many people are working from home now, and just being able to go and take their Chromebook or their laptop or whatever and go and work in the amphitheater. All the amenities are there. You've got a restroom right there. You've got everything you need to just be fully functional in an outside environment where you can be breathing fresh air and enjoying nature and yet at the same time have this balance of the amenities that we all want. So the amphitheater is really, that is just one of my big pet projects. It's very dear to me because I do feel as though it is a specific item that meets the needs of our future generations. Now, one of the reasons we get the question a lot, why are you building a park? This is supposed to be a university. Well, our concept of this is that this is a hugely functional component of a university campus. So as a university student or as a college student, to be able to walk across campus and actually be in a facility like this, we actually see the amphitheater as an educational facility as well. Any university, any college, the high school, even the middle school could bring their classes over and, like you were saying, have an outdoor facility to have classes, because the stage is going to be fully equipped. It'll have power, it'll have everything that you would need. So, drama could actually come over and you guys could do your practices right there in the park.
Awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And because we're pacing, we've got at least 3 seasons where folks can do this comfortably. So very exciting.
It is. And I think before the program, Dan, you touched a little bit or mentioned as far as time frame completion, of the different steps. And so kind of, and I know it's not, there aren't any firm dates or anything solid with everything that's happening, because you mentioned one of the parts that, is ordered and the delays, and I could imagine all of the material, the amount of material for this project, there's a lot. So the potential for delays, and probably delays have occurred, so.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people recognize the increase in the energy costs at the gas pump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of that oil, which is now not as plentiful, impacts a lot of the sleeving and the PVC piping, not only on cost, but on availability. Thanks to Jennifer's effort and a local contractor that's working on it, a lot of it has been pre-bought.
Okay.
And so we could keep the project moving. However, when you look at it overall, we're still scheduled for completion next spring.
Okay.
But the things that have impacted us, we had an abnormal amount of rain last summer, which we had the lake constructed, so it actually is still full of a lot of that rainwater. Snow, 4 inches a couple of weeks ago. But even the pump house that's on its way, we have a prefabricated dual double pump system that is on its way from Georgia that was specifically manufactured to recycle the water so we could have the fishing and things like that. That's been impacted by the trucking and the shipping that's underway, because it's 11.5 feet by 26 feet on its way up here. But with all that said, because there's 12 parts to this, we've been able to work on different parts at different times and keep the schedule pretty much on schedule for next spring sometime.
That's great.
In addition to the conduit purchasing and all of that type of thing, the sports fields, so the softball field and the football field, we actually paid for the turf, the synthetic
artificial
turf
grass
on that, with an eye to what was going on in the world with petroleum products last June. So by having it purchased in advance, they actually produced it. That turf on the field for the fields is actually sitting in a warehouse. It's completely manufactured.
It's already striped.
Yep. And it's rolled up and it's ready to get on a truck and come out here. So that is a huge benefit. We did the same thing with all of the major materials for the lake construction. So the lake has a liner. It has a couple of layers of liner, and we did the same thing. Our lake and stream contractor actually told us that they had quite a few projects that they had to postpone because they were unable to get the materials.
Wow.
And so they were very excited that we had pre-purchased them. They were already housed on site. And so our project, they were able to just come in and go gangbusters on the lake and stream because we had all the materials already.
Wow. Yeah, that's great that you were able to do that, purchase the material in advance, knowing that this might be coming down the road, these things might happen, so.
And it's interesting from our standpoint because we've got 12 separate projects going on technically. So we jumped on the sports fields 6 months ago, designed them, sized them, set the elevations for them. They ordered the artificial turf, and then we put that on hold and finished the lake plans. And then we started building when we were grading the site initially, the lake contractor was stockpiling his materials. So if you kind of watch the site, you can, even before the banners come up telling what's coming next, you'll probably see something being stored there, like the artificial turf will start coming in, being stored while the lake is still being finished. But I liked Jennifer's comments about the amphitheater, and as well as how it would affect what you're looking for, Ashland. For us, we realized, and we've done several amphitheaters for football fields and whatever, none like this. So to give you an idea, we took the whole amphitheater and broke it out as a separate project. The other thing that's occurring is on the corner of the amphitheater, we're actually pulling power in with a mini transformer and a panel to just power the stage and the amphitheater. Because this amphitheater it's going to have side retaining walls with lights on the stairs, lights in all the stairs up the center. It's going to have audio-visual areas that will power the stage. It'll have Wi-Fi in some of the shade sails. And then the last thing that we've never done before is we'll have outlets 8 foot on center, as Jennifer mentioned, up every one of the seats. So if you're wandering around the park and you want to go over and just plug in your laptop, you can do that and sit in the shade and look out over the lake and the island. It has so many components that we've got probably 4 different consultants just working on that stage, as opposed, and it's a lot more complex compared to stages that we've done before. So this will be built for the lone person that wants to sit there and just enjoy it in the middle of a fall afternoon. Or down the road, it may be a drama club that wants to come over and practice their summer stock theater, or drama presentations, or music presentation. So this stage will be able to function with 1 person in it, or up to 750 for a major presentation. And the whole time, thanks to Jennifer, it overlooks the island. That's a whole nother
That's a
story.
whole other story.
Jennifer and I and Kenny Evans walked the whole site in this valley and hand staked what we wanted the island to look like. Halfway through the 3rd walk, Jennifer noticed that some of the trees in the center that we were going to take out were actually high enough to be above the water. So we actually created an island out of the existing, and we've got an island that, if you go out there, has probably 4 or 5 50-foot ponderosa pines on it, that once the lake's filled, the way it's fitted into the ravine originally is gonna look like it's been there all along.
And it's already 30 minutes have
It's
gone.
hard to believe, huh?
But I really would. I don't know, next month what we have planned, but it would be great to talk more about the park, because again, we really just going into the amphitheater could spend 15 minutes and did on that, but there are so many other components.
There's so much, so much thought
to talk about, and it's great for people to hear, about this, and just the complexity, just all of it, to get a better understanding of this project and what it's going to be when it's done.
I think every one of the 12 plans that are coming up have been so detailed and thought out, and they all overlap each other. As an example, even on the lake, Jennifer created the island. Kenny Evans came up with wanting it to be the most recyclable water as possible. There's an 18-inch line that comes out of a 42-inch intake that pumps water up to 2 500-foot streams that will have 10,000 gallons coming down. That in itself will, including the aeration system, will create a fish habitat that all the youngsters and us old guys can use.
Any age.
So every one of the plans has an interesting story.
It'd be great to talk about, definitely talk about the lake, the streams, and just everything that was done to build those, all of the thought, planning that went into it, and what they're going to create when they're completed. So again, 30 minutes like that, gone, but a wonderful program. I thank you so much, Daniel, for coming in today and sharing all of this.
It's my pleasure.
Hopefully we'll have you back, if not next month, soon, to talk more about the park. And Jennifer, thank you.
You're welcome. I would love to come back next month. I like you said, I think there's just so much that we can get into, and it's so exciting because
in 30 days, so much changes.
It is, and this is on the same scale and on the same level as I think about Green Valley Park. I think about our new water treatment facility, and even Green Valley Water, the Sanitary District. Just how momentous, how large, and they're just great projects that are so forward thinking, that have contributed so much to the community, to making it what it is, And this is another one of those projects that's on that level. And some people might say, oh my gosh, Green Valley Water Sanitary District. Well, I encourage everyone to take a tour of that facility. They do tours every Wednesday.
And learn the history.
And learn
too.
the history
Mhm.
and what they are doing there. And that's one of the most advanced, treatment facilities in the Southwest.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just amazing what they're doing there. And our water treatment facility, the same way. Green Valley Park and Granite Dells Park will be right up there.
Well, and I want to close on one element. This park is going to be completely ADA accessible. We have spent alone 4 to 5 months on an ADA trail that comes from the parking lot completely around the lake and to the front of the amphitheater. And with the grades that are out there, I guarantee you that's not real easy.
No, because there's a 20-foot drop from one side to the other.
Wow.
And what's super cool too, this is so exciting for Payson, is it's lit. There's going to be lighting all the way along the pathway.
You mean it's fire? It's lit? No, I mean, no, you mean with the lights. Sorry, Ashley. Sorry, I had to do that. My daughters aren't here, but you are, so I had to do one of those.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that's really an act in itself, because the lighted bollards that are about 42 inch, we're not doing around the lake the 14-foot typical park lighted poles. We're doing the lighted bollards, but they have to be within 25 feet to have the foot candles for the ADA walkway.
Gotcha.
And
Wow.
Jennifer even included, maybe we can bring you some pictures next time,
Yeah.
but around the lake, there's actually an ADA ramp that comes down to a ADA plaza that sits right below the 6-foot waterfall.
It
Wow.
was so funny. Yesterday, Monday, we were looking at actual bollards to choose for the park, and my contractor was sitting there across the table from me, and he's showing me different ones. I'm like, no. Oh, that's terrible. No. And Kenny was sitting next to me doing something else, and I'm like, no, it's not nice enough. No. And Kenny goes, picky. I said, yes, that's my job.
Every detail is gone through.
Yes, absolutely.
No, it was very exciting. Again, talking with Daniel Cleland, Jennifer Smith, MHA Foundation, about Granite Dells Park Complex, and Ashland. You said, the amphitheater, the Ramadas. Can you see yourself and friends, hanging out?
Are you excited about the amphitheater?
Oh, definitely. A few of my friends and I like to go to the park sometimes and hang out, or I've been to a few birthday parties there, so I think that this would also be a nice place to do stuff like that.
That's
Oh, yeah.
exactly what we're hoping.
One of the things I learned from working with some Disney people over the years is, if you've been to Epcot Center or World Showcase, Kodak has what they call Kodak moments. This park, every angle and turn on the walkways is kind of like a Kodak moment, that you can go with 2 or 3 friends and find little nooks and crannies to sit in and talk to. So it's going to be heavily. This park has everything from, people don't even remember it, but Jennifer added it, and I've got 2 of them in there. We have everything from tetherball to Foursquare, sports fields, bocce ball, pickleball, and my favorite is the sand volleyball, which we actually irrigate to keep the sand cool in the summertime.
And keep the dust down.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. So again, a lot more to talk about, and hopefully next month or in another month we can do that, because there are so many components to the Granite Dells Park Complex. It's very, very exciting. So thank you again.
Thanks, Chris.
Coming in. Thank you, Ashland.
Yeah, thank you for letting me listen.
Oh, Jay, you're very welcome. And thank you to all of our listeners and followers on Facebook, and also to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. Let's get back to the music with some Quarter Flash, John Cougar, Little River Band, and more. But first, an update from the National Weather Service.
As for Payson and surrounding areas.
Sorry to run over.
Oh, no, that's okay. It was good. It's all so good.
We could just go on and
Good
on.
question, Ashley.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it, well, yeah.